There are as many as 2,000 illegal border crossers processed each day now in Eagle Pass. Texas is trying to step in where the federal government will not. This week, we report from the Texas-Mexico border, where a rising tide of illegal immigrants is overwhelming Lone Star efforts to control what most Americans see as an illegal invasion.
The start of every school season is a mixture of pride and joy. This year, there's also growing concern to protect children.
What we sought to regain here with a noble mission. The mission was to stop mass shootings.
We see how a team of former Navy SEALs is offering schools a way to target attackers first.
Inflation has hit hair-raising levels.
Haircuts sort of encapsulate a bunch of parts of what's going on in an economy.
This week, we look into the haircut economy.
Welcome to Full Measure. I'm Sharyl Attkisson. We begin with the border. Here we are in mid-2023, and each year since 2020 has been worse than the last in terms of illegal border crossers, deaths, fentanyl smuggling, and U.S. deaths, all breaking records. This month, Border Patrol still reported 4,000 encounters with illegal immigrants every day after a post-pandemic change in law. Today, we report on what a hard-hit town in Texas suffered through this past year. On our trip to Eagle Pass, Texas, it's first light. Border authorities know exactly what time and where people will gather on the Mexican side of the Rio Grande to walk or swim across to the U.S. The river is high and fast-moving after lots of rain. U.S. rescue boats pick up those who look like they might not make it. Others make it to shore and walk along the fence line into U.S. custody. Many will be transported to an American city of their choice. During our visit to Eagle Pass, there were as many as 2,000 illegal border crossers processed each day and a similar number not caught. That's equal to the town's entire population of 28,000 moving through every week. So many, they built this giant processing center near the local airport. It's clear they're fighting a war without help they need from the federal government, and they say, because of the federal government.
It's absolutely devastating Texas and the communities in Texas. We cannot continue to sit back and allow the federal government to allow thousands upon thousands of people into Texas, and for the rest of the United States for that matter. Most of those migrants are going to continue on forward into the United States. This is a federal government problem, and Texas is standing up to try to do what the Biden administration is refusing to do.
That is very dangerous.
Sergeant Juan Maldonado is with Texas Highway Patrol.
Operation Lone Star started back in March of 2021.
Operation Lone Star has deployed more than 1,400 troopers, rangers, and other resources, costing $2.5 million a week. They've called in more than 6,000 Texas National Guard troops, positioned giant containers along the border to discourage crossings, and used leftover panels from Trump's abandoned wall project to build new barriers.
The reason that we're out here to secure Texas is because the federal government has failed to provide the federal agents here the resources and the policies to apprehend the undocumented aliens.
Texas is also spending more than $1 billion on barriers for state and private property, building more than 100 miles so far, including this fence on Jim Hobbs's ranch. And this is Mexico right there.
That's Mexico right across there, yes.
Hobbs says as many as 1,400 illegal border crossers have been caught on his land in a single day. He videos some of them and the mess they leave behind. Do they climb over the fence?
No, they let them through.
Border Patrol lets them through?
Yeah, well, if there's like right now, they still got places where they haven't finished the fence, and they got gates. They let them through. I've never seen anything like that. I've been here all my life.
What do you attribute that to?
Mr. Biden. They're just letting them in.
We saw for ourselves when Sheriff's Deputy Aaron Horta drove us to some hot spots. This group just crossed the river, criminal trespassing on private property, but they're on U.S. soil, so Border Patrol unlocks and opens a gate to let them in. ¿De dónde eras? Where are you from?
Venezuela.
Venezuela. You too?
Venezuela.
In Donald Trump's last year in office, there were 458,000 encounters on the southern border. President Biden's first year in office saw that number balloon to an all-time high in American history, 1.7 million. Then above 2.7 million last year. And with 4 months still left in the 2023 fiscal year, that record is being shattered yet again, with no action from the federal government stemming the tide, and Homeland Security Chief Mayorkas seeming to take a victory lap earlier this month.
Over the past 2 days, the United States Border Patrol has experienced a 50% drop in the number of encounters versus what we were experiencing earlier in the week before Title 42 ended at midnight on Thursday.
But for all the money and manpower Texas is devoting, immigration is under federal authority. So there's nothing that can be done technically right now to keep the numbers down, to keep people from coming?
No, ma'am. They have a free open range coming across the river right now. They're literally across the river, and it's an everyday issue.
It's really, I mean, it's like we're overrun.
Tom Schmerber is the Democrat sheriff of Eagle Pass's Maverick County. I noticed the Texas Guard has come to help, but what I've seen them do is help rescue them. They're not keeping anybody out.
But the National Guard don't have any power of arrest.
So the Guard is pretty much just an extra pair of hands to help process the
That's what it is, the extra pair of hands.
Here on the border crisis, Democrats and Republicans are very much on the same page.
I'm very disappointed in the federal government, to be honest.
Democrat Rolando Salinas is mayor of Eagle Pass.
And I've opened the invitation to anyone in the administration, whether it be president, vice president, or one of his representatives, to please come to Eagle Pass, Texas. We are part of the United States. Please come and take a look of what's happening in our community, of the amount of people that are crossing through our community. We cannot sustain all these thousands of people crossing through Eagle Pass.
Republican Tony Gonzalez is the area's representative in the U.S. Congress.
You know, when the Biden administration first took office, their approach was very simple. Whatever Trump did, we're going to do the opposite. And I understood that, but that is not a plan. And they turned a blind eye. I mean, I couldn't get a call back. They would not pay any attention. And it wasn't just me. I mean, it was anyone along the border. Henry Cuellar, my Democrat colleague to the south, Vicente Gonzalez. I mean, everybody. They just turned a blind eye.
There's no clearer view of the chaos than from the air with the Texas Department of Public Safety, or DPS.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the water right now.
This year, a record-setting hundreds of illegal immigrants are counted among the dead.
Oh, they have a body at the... Oh, they sure did.
We've long asked President Biden and his representatives for interviews, but they've declined. The administration is on record insisting the border is under control, there's no crisis, and they're just cleaning up from Trump's policies. Anything you'd like people to know who will never visit the border, just about what's happening here?
Yeah, I want them to know that whatever's coming through here, the people that are up there north, comfortable, all these immigrants are heading up there. They're going to end up over there looking for assistance, state, federal assistance, and some immigrants that don't have any skills eventually, that turn into criminal things.
I hope they give us some sort of answers, a detailed plan and action.
What if their plan is, this is the plan?
Well, then that's unfortunate, and we will keep doing our best to maintain the order that we have.
Are there farmers and ranchers around here? Do you talk about getting together and trying to do anything?
Well, there's nothing we can do. Just put up with it, I guess, until something changes. Hopefully soon.
A recent NPR poll found that more than half of Americans, 53%, say the U.S. is experiencing an invasion at the southern border. Coming up next on Full Measure, a new high-tech way to help prevent school shootings. "18-year-old Salvador Ramos murdered 21 people at a Texas elementary school last May. But might things have been different if a detection system had quickly alerted authorities to a man with a gun before the first shot? A group of former special forces has invented a new high-tech security solution for schools. Scott Thuman reports.
In America, mass shootings happen at an average rate of more than 10 each week.
There's an active shooter situation in South Florida.
Schools often the target, as in May when 18-year-old Salvador Ramos killed 19 children and 2 adults in Uvalde County, Texas, as school districts struggle to identify the threat and stop it in time.
My wife's classroom.
And so I do think that people suffer who are a part of it, and the closer
a team of former Navy SEALs think they have a partial solution.
I think we all found when we left the SEAL teams a lack of purpose, a lack of unity, and that's what we sought to regain here with a noble mission.
Sam Alamo is one of the founders of Zero Eyes, a Philadelphia company created with the sole mission of stopping shootings before they begin.
What we're trying to do is give first responders the situational awareness they need to react that much more quickly to a threat before a shot is even fired.
Because, they say, it is oddly common for shooters to pause and prepare with weapon in hand, sometimes for minutes before a single shot is fired. It's what happened in Parkland, Florida, when Nicholas Cruz killed 17 students, and at the Washington Navy Yard when Aaron Alexis was seen on security cameras carrying a shotgun before he murdered 12. The former elite warriors wondered what if the second that gun is presented, it could trigger an alarm. So they developed an artificial intelligence system that's sophisticated enough to recognize a weapon being carried in just a couple of seconds.
Can you come take a look at this?
As Rob Huberty, another former Navy SEAL and company leader, explains, the AI system monitors thousands of security cameras at schools, offices, and military bases that have signed up for the service.
An algorithm is going to make a determination, and it says, maybe this is a gun. And it's going to draw it to the attention through just one picture. And it's going to be a box drawn around it. And this operator is going to have to make that determination. Gun? No gun.
Information they relay to the school and law enforcement. What makes this system unique is the vets have spent years teaching their software to recognize all types of weapons carried in different ways in their own Hollywood-grade green screen studio.
So in here, you can be in a casino, you can be in a shopping mall, you can be in a high school.
Absolutely.
Because in here, you're training it every angle, what they would look like.
On every type of camera that you possibly could have.
And they test it out constantly. In this case, a mock shooter randomly walks through their office.
This is Zero Eyes Operations Center. We're verifying you received the alert.
Drills to keep the Operations Center sharp and calm, using a staff of military veterans who verify the presence of a gun and let law enforcement or security know exactly where the shooter is, what they're doing, and which building exits are safe to use. It's all designed to cut down the confusion that happens when a mass shooting begins and people rush to report it even as they're trying to flee.
It's very easy for me to see right now that she's got a gun and is walking by this particular location.
Right.
So this is just feeding me minute by minute up from...
Right. Theoretically, if they were to drop that weapon and they were hide somewhere else, you still know what that is, because in a lot of these scenarios, they actually do that.
The system is in 25 states now. They hope all 50 by the end of the year.
Every day, first thing, we're thinking about safety and security.
Christopher Heilig is superintendent of the Rancocas Valley Regional High School in New Jersey, tasked with caring for more than 2,000 students, now relying on the new gun detection technology to keep them safe.
We did an active shooter drill in 2019, and the first drill was done without the Zero Eyes technology, and we were able to reach the threat in about 3 minutes. With the technology, the next drill that they did, it decreased that in half.
So you went from 3 minutes down to 90 seconds.
That's correct, yeah, roundabout.
What did you think when you realized the time difference?
It was unbelievable. It was just sold, because that's the goal.
But there are hurdles, concerns over privacy rights, and of course, costs. But this new American-built technology, designed to save vital time, could be one answer to America's mass shootings.
And are there other technologies and systems being tested?
There are. For example, some South Carolina schools have replaced metal detectors with those full-body airport-style scanners. And then you've got software companies that are monitoring email, web chats, and web searches on some school computers. All of this to detect threats, but it's a pretty big business now. We're talking, by some estimates, a $3 billion a year industry, and a lot of taxpayer money going to that now.
Well, do you know how a parent could find out if any of these systems are being used in their children's schools?
Well, Zero Eyes, the company that we just profiled, for obvious reasons, doesn't publish a list of schools it monitors. However, the school district that we visited that you saw, they have made their parents aware that they're using the system.
Great job. Thanks, Scott. And when we come back, what the price of a haircut says about the economy. When inflation topped 9% over the summer, it made some of life's basics, like gas and food, the most expensive they've been in 40 years. But there's a surprising and remarkably accurate measure of how bad inflation may be, one you don't hear as much about. Lisa Fletcher reports.
So, what are we doing? How much are we cutting this time?
The cost of a haircut is going up. It's across the board and here to stay. Luigi Perasmo's owned this salon for 11 years, raising prices only once, until now. Inflation forcing up the cost of some services by as much as $20.
It's just uncomfortable, but it needs to be done.
But the gravity of inflation is hard to escape. Right now, the cost of a haircut in the U.S. is more than 6% higher than this time last year, the largest jump since 1982. Even with a steady stream of customers to count on, Perasmo says he's feeling the wrath of inflation.
Have you had a chance to look at the numbers since inflation really kicked in terms of how much more you're spending just to keep the salon open?
We're spending more, at least 15% more.
More for a tube of color, up 20%. Gloves, 200%. And everything from hair dryers to cleaning supplies, noticeably more expensive. While Perasmo says raising salon prices in response was unavoidable, he's decided to take a loss rather than pass the entire cost on to his clients.
Do you feel like it's just sort of an adjustment you have to make to keep the business going?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. We have to adapt ourselves to all these things if we want to keep the business alive, yes.
Haircuts sort of encapsulate a bunch of parts of what's going on in an economy.
Steve Cicchetti is an economist who tracked inflation for the White House in the 1970s under the Carter administration and directed research for the Federal Reserve.
Haircuts are really interesting because unlike a lot of things that we do, you can't move them around. With a haircut, I've got to actually go there, and somebody's got to have a pair of scissors and they've got to cut my hair. So the price of haircuts is really something that helps me understand relative prices around the world.
For many, talk of inflation evokes images of the fuel shortages and endless gas lines of the 1970s. Cicchetti says what we're seeing is really more closely related to inflation of the 1960s.
Inflation went from, 2% to 5 or 6, so a lot like what we're seeing now. And a lot of it came because of fiscal stimulus. And that drove inflation up in a lot of the same ways that a lot of the pandemic spending has done this time.
Just down the road from the salon, in the heart of D.C., Dale Simmons runs Wall's Barbershop.
Year after year, we've been just trying to keep people looking good in the neighborhood.
Where the price of a cut went from $35 to $40 as inflation threatened to shave his profits.
How did your clients take it?
A lot of them understand. It's getting expensive for everybody. Like, you add a couple, like $10 or $20 to your everyday routine, it adds up.
But that's the reality, which economists say could last another 5 to 10 years.
It is hard when you're raising prices, but when all the expenses and everything is going up around you, like, you gotta kind of keep up with the pace of the world.
No matter how you cut it. For Full Measure, I'm Lisa Fletcher in Washington, D.C.
After a break, what's ahead next week on Full Measure? Coming up next week on Full Measure, our season finale, where we take a look at some of our favorite reports from season 8 of Full Measure, and yours too.
I refuse to get the vaccine.
There was COVID and the trickle-down impact of the disease and decisions. 2 pharmacies refused to fill the Celier's ivermectin prescription. We examined when government oversight becomes an overreach. Surveillance video shows FBI agents, weapons drawn, surrounding the Texas home of Trennis Evans.
These armed agents, with their gun drawn and running into the house and running around and yell, FBI, FBI.
We focused on America's greatest competitor and threat.
Here in Panama, you can really see it. The concern is that the larger presence China has here, the more control it also has.
With regard to China possibly using the moon as a military strategic destination.
And they usually do what they say they're going to do in space.
Our Full Measure correspondents join us for our annual Roundtable episode. That's next week. Until next time, we'll be searching for more stories that hold powers accountable. Thanks for watching. I'm Sharyl Attkisson.